videos. So Jason's going to be on task. It's block 4. It's a lot quieter than block 3. So we are going to start with pages 330, 326, 327. So going over 1A, 2A, 3A. You're just plugging in numbers, true? Yeah. And then you see if it's true, which it is. 1B says the cosine of theta equals sine of 90 minus theta. Look at this wheel. Do you see where my cosines are and my sines? Yeah. What happens if I turn this wheel 90 degrees? What happens if I move this all 90 degrees? Then it goes wheel off. Okay, so then I go, sorry, Caleb, pause. Sorry, go. What happens when I turn that wheel? Yeah, they line up. So this, if I move this over here, the sine equals 1. This up here, the sine equals 0. Do they now line up? Yes. If you look at the graph in your book, look at the graph in your book. The graphs of the cosine and sine function are translated, right? They're translated how many degrees? 90. They're 90 degrees apart. Okay? So there's two ways you can justify it, using the Ferris wheel model or using the fact that the graphs are translated 90 degrees. The one for 2b was that the cosine of theta equals cosine negative theta. I did this one for you yesterday in class. Why are those the same?
The same value.
Yeah. Cosine talks about the left-right position. So this is the same distance left-right position from the center. The other way is the graph. Remember, the graph of the cosine function goes like this. Yes? Starts at its max and goes down. If I look at a positive angle and a negative angle, do they have the same value? Y value. Either approach. Theoretically, you should have learned all these from your prior IMS, but if you didn't, here's your one last chance. It's on your assessment. You have to be able to justify in a way all of these. The sine. Why is the sine of negative theta equal to the opposite of sine theta? Why is the sine of negative theta equal to the opposite of sine theta? They're what? Yeah. You're talking about the height from the x-axis, correct? The up-down height. And this one's a positive, this one's a negative. They're the same distance, but they're opposite signs. Yes? The other way to justify is the graph. Remember, the cosine functions, the sine function starts at the center. Yes? If I look at this, what do you notice about this value and this value? One's negative, one's positive. If I did this angle, and this angle, same y value, just opposites. So far, so good. Okay, so fix that up, and then we'll move on. Welcome back! All right, so today we did sine of a sum before. We did sine of a sum on Monday, correct? We recapped Monday. Third block recapped Wednesday, because we had no school on Tuesday. Today we're doing the cosine of a sum. So we have the sine of a sum formula that we developed. I'll recap how to do that. We have these two formulas that we just went over in that activity. You know, we went over one of them, we have the other one. And we just went over these bottom two formulas. So theoretically, this is all we know. So this brings us back to shear hell, because you guys might go, why are we even doing this? Would that be a fair question? Good, perfect, good. So we're going to back up on these slides, and then we're going to have to adjust it for Caleb's viewing pleasure. Oh, hold on. Pause, Caleb. Caleb, Julia, Maddie, Evan, all those absent people along with us. So what happened was, many days ago, we said, we have to actually do math in this unit, okay? And we've learned how to program on our calculators. We've learned how to translate. Translating the matrices is stupid, because it's way easier to do it a different way. And I said, don't worry, you'll be thankful when we get to rotations. Our goal is to rotate a cube. So we have to turn something, okay? So this is a recap of the past week. Good? We started out with point P, and we said rotate it to here. Yes? Does this radius from the center change length when I rotate? No. Perfect. This original point could be thought of as xy, where this is x and this is y. Yes? So to get that radius, that would be the square root of x squared plus y squared. Yes? Okay. I just gotta watch the time because when I hit 15 minutes, we're starting the video. Good? All right, so then I have this angle is my angle of rotation, which is 20 degrees. So far, so good? All right, and I want to find this point here. So we said inverse trig, I can find theta, right? Then I can simply find theta plus 20 degrees. And I can use some trigonometry. This is theta plus 20. We use 10, actually. I can use some trigonometry to find my x and my y. Yes? Because the sine of theta plus 10 equals y over the hypotenuse, solve for y, etc. And then we ended up with these god-awful formulas right there. Do you see those god-awful formulas from the team? And we said, who wants to do that over and over again? So we said, hey, you know what's easier is using polar coordinates. Okay? Why polar coordinates are easier is because my original point is r theta. My new point is r theta plus 10 degrees, because that's what we used. Easy, right? So when I plot on my calculator screen, I need rectangular coordinates, not polar coordinates. Okay, so I need rectangular coordinates. But rectangular coordinates are easy to find given polar coordinates. If you know r and theta, and you want y, it's the sine of theta equals y over r. So y equals r sine theta. Similar with the cosine value. Are you with me on that? None of you have to help me. Are you good enough? So we know that your x is just r cosine theta, and your y is just r sine theta. Yes? So therefore, on my salmon sheets, I had x, y is my original point, but that's also known as r theta. Yes? But then I could change that to r cosine theta, r sine theta. Do you see how I did that piece? Yes? And then this, so my new point is r theta plus 10 degrees. Yes? Which I can rewrite that as r cosine theta plus 10, comma r sine theta plus 10. Are you with me on that part? I just put in the two angles, the sum of the angles. So then goes, hey, isn't this the cosine of a sum? And this is the sine of a sum. Do you remember how we did the sine of a sum formula? Okay. So for those of you that don't, because Calvin was here on Monday, but missed any recap we did on Wednesday. This is the one where we took a plus b, and we said this is x, this is y, and we said this is a, z, x, y. Yes, b. So far, so good. Do you remember? Okay, so this was, we said, hey, how do I find the area of this triangle? Using that 1/2 tu sine theta. What would the area of this triangle be? Perfect. Okay, you might have missed this too, I think. Yes? Okay, the area of this left triangle is 1/2 xz sine A. You see how I'm getting that angle? That part. Okay, good. So Logan, what's the area of the right triangle? Perfect, and zy. Okay. So the area of the big triangle equals the area of the two little ones added together. So far, so good. Then we said, heck, let's divide by the 1/2. 1/2's gone. Yes? Yay! I want to isolate the sine of a sum, sine of a plus b. So far, we're good. Okay. So then we have the sine of a plus b equals xz sine a plus zy sine b. Okay, we're getting messy. And that's over xy. Do you notice how I divided everything by xy? Are you with me on that part? Okay, see this xy? So I divided this by xy and this by xy. Yep, are you good there? Fish? Yeah, because I'm trying to isolate this thing by itself. Okay, hold on, give me 2 seconds as I write this. 1/2 xy sine of a plus b equals 1/2 xz sine A plus 1/2 zy sine B. Good, Logan? On that first step. Area of the B equals area of this plus area of this. Good. Are you okay with the fact that we are erasing the 1/2, so we multiply everything by 2? Good, perfect. Then we said we need to get rid of that xy. So I'm dividing by xy. Yes? I'm going to divide each piece. I can just write it underneath that, because that's like having an imaginary 1 under the side of that. So we're good? Good. So now, the x's cancel out. Yes? And I'm left with z over y. Z over y. What is that from that triangle? Cosine of b, adjacent over hypotenuse. So this is cosine b sine A. Yes? Plus, the y's cancel out on this one. What's z over x? Cosine A sine B. Yes? There's my sine of a sum formula. In theory, that's forward. In theory, that's what I have right here on my formula sheet. Yes? Okay. Why does that help? Because then here I can rewrite this y value. I have the sine of a sum. I know how to write it out, so it gets god awful ugly before it gets better. Okay, so everything's going to get way messier, and then by the end of class today, it's going to get way neater. Okay? All right. So next, we got to do the cosine of a sum. But first, I'm going to tell you to take out your Salmon sheets, and I'm going to pause this video so that everybody can write down the sine of a sum formula, and then I'm going to have to start a second video going. Where did my sine of a sum go? Well, I guess you can write it down from there. Yeah, can you write it down from there? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Good. Go. All right.